Today on the PIO podcast, I would like to introduce Deana DiPaola, Public Information Officer from the Altamonte Springs Police Department, Altamonte Springs, Florida. Deana, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Deana, so can you tell our followers about your background and how you became the PIO?
Sure. Well, a little bit about me. I'm from Pennsylvania. I got my bachelor's degree from Penn State, came to Florida. I was a probation officer here. And then I went to the Night Academy, became a police officer, been here 16 years. I started out in the drug world and then I came to community relations. So with that being said, I was doing PIO part-time and helping out someone else that was going out on family medical. And then when she came back, she got promoted. And then I went into the PIO role full-time.
Okay, so how long have you been in the position?
So full-time in the position, a year, and been doing it about 3 years in regards.
Okay, so your feet have been wet a little while, and that's awesome. All right, so let's talk about where Altamonte Springs is because I don't think a whole lot of people know where it's at. Let's talk about where it's located in Florida and the population, and then sworn staff and civilian staff in the department.
So we are north of Orlando, about 20 minutes. And in regards to our city itself, we have 47,000 citizens as far as population wise, but we're very urban oriented. So we have a lot of businesses in our city since we're right next to I-4.
Okay, so you get a lot of traffic coming through your community
Yes.
because it's either going to Orlando or it's coming back from Orlando or going north into Georgia and so on. So yeah, you get a lot of traffic and a lot of activity. 47,000 is a decent sized community.
And our square mileage is 9.5. So as far as miles.
Okay.
for our
Well, and
city.
what's the department staff like? Sworn staff for officers and then the civilian staff. How many of each?
Yeah, so we have 103 as far as police officers right now. And then as far as our people in regards to civilian staff, we have 14.
Okay, so again, a decent sized department for the population that you have. And that's pretty good because there are a lot of departments that are population wise same size. The community I originally came from, we were 63 and our community was 39,000 people, and we bordered the city of Chicago, and we had a lot of crime come into the city out of Chicago, and we did not have enough.
And we keep growing. So I see
Oh,
an increase coming as well.
okay. So that was going to be my next question. So your community, you said it's very urban, so you have a lot of larger businesses there in the community, I'm assuming.
We do. We have a lot of businesses along with apartment complexes. We're also known very much so for Cranes Roost Park. We have Red Hot and Boom every year, which brings in about 150,000 people. That's our biggest event every year.
You get 150,000 people at an event.
It's very big
Wow,
event. Yes. Takes a
that
lot of
is
logistics and a lot of planning.
okay. Well, that'll be part of the conversation later on. Good to know that. All right, so you recently completed FBI lead of the Master PIO course. Did you have any really big takeaways that you got from the course?
Working on communications plans, being transparent, looking at videos in the media. I do that a lot as far as, what is the hot topic for right now? What is happening in other areas? And debriefing those. That was a lot of things that we went over in the class. I had Sarah Conley for my basic and I had her for, my master, and she was amazing.
Yeah, Sarah is a great instructor and so knowledgeable, and she's seen so much in her career. So, yeah, I'm glad you were able to get her as an instructor. So outstanding.
I
All right,
think
so
the biggest
let's
thing,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say the biggest thing I could take away from that class is transparency and getting ahead of the situation. So the sooner you can get the message out, the sooner you're going to get ahead of anyone else putting information out before you and working with the media. They're your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about what social media platforms you guys currently have at the department.
So right now, for me, I only get to use Facebook, and we put it into a software program with our city called Hootsuite. I'm hoping at the beginning of the year is to add Instagram to that as well because of the younger generation.
Now, are you using Hootsuite because it's a way for the city to monitor and archive stuff, or is it just an easier way to manage it for you guys?
It is a city program and it's something for them to safeguard and monitor along with us collaborating. We work together on things.
Okay, so Facebook's all you have. Do you have any plans besides Instagram at some point to add?
It'll be up to the city. That's something that we have to work together on. They have X, they also have LinkedIn. So those are some things that I would hope that we can also work towards getting as well. But it's all grouping it together through the city that I work for.
Okay, and I'm assuming the city communications people, they're able to post for you guys as well?
Some stuff I post on my own if it's critical. Other things, as far as like daily Facebook posts, we put them through there and then they'll post them.
Okay. Beyond your social media use and putting things out on social media, how else do you disseminate crisis communication stuff to the community?
So, first internally, everything goes out by email to our stakeholders and employees. We also use social media. We send it out to the media itself so they can put it out on the air. And these are the different things that we use.
Okay, so you don't have like a rave alert or Nixle that you put out crisis communication stuff that goes out.
No, we don't
Nope.
have any of those programs.
Okay.
Everything is mostly going to be by email. Um, Internally, if a command page would go out, that's going to go out by text. But as far as to our employees or to the citizens themselves, it's going to go out by social media and by obviously the media themselves.
Right. I'm really happy to hear that you're sending stuff out to staff and employees. I mean, that's one thing I frequently hear. Sometimes it's not something that's an afterthought, and I like to hear that they're keeping their staff informed before everybody else gets it, so they're not hearing it on the news or via social media.
And it also helps us because if we have a missing person, or there's a picture attached, maybe they'll see them in the city when they're driving, and that they can help us as well.
Right. All right. So let's talk about specific community outreach initiatives that you've helped develop or support, or you feel really move the needle in developing public trust. Is there anything that you like to talk about?
Some of the things that, starting that I was doing this job part time while I was in community relations is our homeless initiative. We now have two community engagement officers that do that full time, helping with the homeless, network working with veterans. That's something that we have. Project Lifesaver. That was another thing that we got rolling in regards to those that have memory issues, bracelets in the community. We push that out to our elderly folks as well. The Boys and Girls Club, we've partnered with them with the fire department now. This is the first year collaborating. It becomes bigger where we're able to bring all the Boys and Girls Club from Seminole County in. And we have a day for them before they go to school and get backpacks, etc. So those are some of the things that we're doing here, along with our Shop with a Cop event that keeps getting bigger every year because we keep getting silent donors that come in and want to help. And the media
Yeah,
has helped a lot with that as well.
the Shop with a Cop program is such a good program, and it's amazing how you do get people to come out of the woodwork that are offering donations or offering support in some way, shape, or form. So that's outstanding. You mentioned, oh, I'm sorry, you mentioned your the Boys and Girls Club. So were there two separate organizations for you guys, the police department and then the fire department, or was it just one group?
We actually came together as one. So we were doing the Boys and Girls Club for our Target initiative for Christmas. And then this year we partnered with FD, who was doing their back to school drive, and we made it a collaboration between police and FD so we could make it bigger. And we brought all the kids in together from the different groups in Seminole County from different locations. So approximately 200 kids this year we were able to give backpacks to and for the back to school drive. And we do a cookout and we play with them and did some hand painting and we had barbershops and it was great. It was a big success this year.
Outstanding. So a homeless initiative, that's another thing that I think a lot of communities struggle with nowadays, especially in warmer communities where the homeless population seems to thrive more because they don't have to worry necessarily for severe inclement weather or extreme cold. Have you guys gotten any support from the business community to address that, or has it just been strictly city run?
No, we actually, we collaborate with our sheriff's office, Seminole County Sheriff's Office. A private entity, 501, is the sharing center. There's a lot of resources out there that actually get together and are trying to help. Some people, are on tough times as far as with financial needs right now with how the economy is. So, as far as getting them into temporary housing, full housing, there's a lot of programs out there. And, I will say that, our county is really working well with those resources to have those available. Getting
Outstanding.
IDs, that's another thing too. So there's a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of that, and they go to a place called the Sharing Center, and that's what we have here in Seminole County that has a lot of resources: food, clothing, outreach, showers.
You mentioned IDs, and I think that's kind of something that gets overlooked a lot. A lot of the homeless population does not have IDs, or if they did have an ID, they lost it, or it got confiscated when they were maybe arrested or hospitalized and got lost. That's a really tough thing for them to get. So if you've got a resource that allows
Yes.
them to get a new ID, that's outstanding.
And that's where they struggle. So that's, where these resources come in is where are they struggling, and where can we bridge that gap? So that is what the Sharing Center does here in Seminole County.
Outstanding. All right, I like to hear that. All right, so do you have any new? Are you looking at any new tools or platforms, things like AI or internal software that you're using to experiment with as a PIO?
So one of the things that I did not have as a PIO, I was using my phone, was we actually got a camera now. So as a PIO, I didn't have a camera to use, and it has the Wi-Fi. It's a Canon Rebel, and I'll be using that in regards to video as well. So that was kind of my new tool that I got this year as a PIO from the department to start being able to capture the moments instead of using the city photographer. So that's something that we've got here internally.
Okay, so you're talking about having Wi-Fi in it. So then, have you explored potentially using it to live stream?
So we have not done any live streams yet. That will be something on the wish list to speak with the city about in regards to doing some live streaming events. Maybe at Red Hot and Boom next year, that would be a capability of being able to stream live.
All right, so you mentioned this again twice. Let's hear it. What is Red Hat and Boom? What is that?
So Red Hot and Boom is on 4th of July. Every year we have the big fireworks display. It's probably the biggest one we have in Central Florida. And it brings in people, obviously from Orlando, north from Volusia County, Daytona Beach area. And it's one central location where we have bands. We've had Battle of the Bands in the past. So you've got a lot of vendors, you've got music, you've got food, we have the kids' play area. And it's just a fun event for everybody to get together.
Okay, so and you said 150,000 people will show up at this event. I'm not assuming not all at once, but over a couple days period. Is that right?
No, this is a one-day event. This is a one-day 4th of July event. So our central the place that we have it is called Cranes Roost Park, and it's 1 mile long around the lake, and that's where the fireworks go off is in the middle of the lake. So yes, we get people from all over.
150,000 people are on a lake. That is a staffing crisis nightmare. I could just, yeah, yeah. Okay,
It's a
gotcha.
collaboration, of state, local, and federal law enforcement along with our fire department. It's a lot of logistics, and we start preparing for it after the last one's over. So each year we start, for the next one.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that comes out of it. You get a lot of, you get missing kids. You might have an injury or things happen at those events, and you can never plan for all of the things that happen. But 150,000 people, you probably seen quite a bit.
That's why staffing's important. So there we do. Like I said, everything is opened up to all of us, meaning the fire department is there, police is there, our emergency management is there. Everybody is at that point in time on staff for this event because we start doing media a couple days prior to it, at the event, start telling them, what to prepare for as far as with road closures, etc. So because that does become a traffic issue in regards to being patient because traffic flow does divert.
Yeah, I would bet it would be. Holy cow. All right, so let's talk about some personal things. What personal habits or practices help you stay grounded and focused when you're dealing with big incidents like a red, red, white, and boom?
Red Hot and Boom.
Red hot and boom.
Two things for me is transparency, staying calm, being transparent, but something that I was taught in one of my classes and I always remember it, be brave, be bold, be gone. So that was
Okay,
something that Mike Jackals taught in one of the classes. And, I always remember that.
outstanding. What do you wish you had known on day one as a PIO?
Time is on your side. Even though we need to get the message out, is making sure it's the correct message first. Just not being so nervous and wanting to rush. Slow down, see the whole picture first. Write everything down, make sure and verify it.
Okay, I like that. Do you see a difference in how younger audience engage with your messaging versus the older community? And how do you bridge that gap if you do?
So, with the older clientele or citizens and residents that we deal with, they're more one on one, firsthand, right? So they're more wanting to read as far as, the magazines or our elderly services. We go out in person and check on them or we call them on the phone. Whereas the younger generation, it's social media based, that's where, they're going for their information. They're on the social media and that's where they're looking for all the information.
If you could
Facebook is
design
more,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no,
I
no,
interrupt you,
you're
I'm
fine.
sorry.
The other thing is too is, Facebook is going to be more, I think, for the older generation, whereas Instagram is the younger generation. The reels, the TikToks.
Have you guys discussed potentially TikTok at all, or are you guys banned in your state from utilizing it?
We do not have access to it, and I don't believe the city uses it either at this point.
Okay. If you could design the ideal future PIO team, what specialties or skills would you want to include in it?
I would say a drone operator, a full-time videographer. If you're, going outside that scope of what your dream wished would be, you have your videographer, you would have a drone operator, a full-time supervisor with, PIOs underneath you. But obviously it depends on how big the department is. But it's one of those things as far as having other people trained because you've got, you take vacation or you have things that come up and you need somebody or other people to be there to in place when something does happen. Or if you have a large incident where you can all work together as one and have, be able to let them do certain things while you're working on something else.
Right. And being able to disengage is really important. I mean, if you as a PIO are on vacation, you're still getting phone calls and having to send things out. It can be taxing emotionally and physically on you if you don't get the chance to just go away and not be bothered.
Yes. But that's one thing that once I got in here was starting to train others. So I have one person that, has been doing it about a year now, starting to do stuff for me here on the side or whenever I'm out. And then I have another person now that's also going to start doing the training and learning as well. And, they got to want to do the job. So that's the biggest thing is having people in the job that, have the heart for it and they want to do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You have to have that. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, do you have any recent stories of any crisis or incident that you were called out to as a PIO that you're particularly proud of how you handled it?
I think and I'll say this just for other PIOs that are out there. I was put on the hot seat when I first started in this position in 2023. It was my first weekend on call and it was whenever we had the national neo-Nazis come and they were here in our city. So you've got, First Amendment issues, you've got safety issues, people are in fear. That was my first weekend and that was something that, I had to deal with and it made me very well aware starting from the beginning of how many people are involved in situations and what you're dealing with and getting the right message out because residents are in fear at that point. So that was something that I dealt with and I feel that that went well. And then other situations that I've dealt with, we've had multiple officer involved shootings. The latest one was last Christmas, and that's another situation where you never want to hear that, in regards to one of your officers, but also getting that message out again to the media and, making sure everything is taken care of the way it needs to be taken care of and transparency.
Right. Absolutely. Do you currently have a crisis communication plan or a strategic communications plan, or are you developing it?
So right now we do have an SOP in regards to our police department, what we look to in regards to public information. But in regards to crisis communications plan itself, we don't have. This is something that I do want to develop now. I'm seeing it from a bigger scope once I took the master PIO class and how everything's set up. The if I am out or someone is out, they have a book to go by and basically look at certain things and certain situations. So that's something that I do want to put in place. And I've been working on now as far as getting certain information and looking at others.
What do you think is going to be the biggest communication challenge to police PIOs that they're going to face maybe in the next 5 or 10 years?
And you see the live streaming, you see the AI, and you see the AI that's not real. And I think those are, going to be the biggest things that, we have to stay on top of. One, for transparency, but also recognizing it and make sure that we're getting the story out, because you're always going to have people that are there videotaping, and making sure we're being transparent with the community and whoever we're dealing with in regards to it, and putting the information out as quick as you can. You got to be transparent and push it out. You can't wait.
I agree with you on that. That being able to get information out quickly to your public is so important. Do you have plans to implement any changes to your role as a PIO, or would you like to implement any changes?
So right now I am the only PIO here. I mean, obviously we only are a department of 103, but my vision, or what I'm growing towards right now, is, like I said, I have one other person that is trained part-time. He has other duties, and then I have another person that I'm training as well part-time with duties. As we grow as an agency and as a city, how we keep growing right now, I would love to see it as a unit. So my vision would be, as far as, a supervisor, full-time PIO, along with at least one other person in the unit, so that we can kind of piggyback. So that is, my goal for the future as we grow.
Okay. So, Deanna, you mentioned AI. Do you utilize any of it in the work that you do as a PIO right now?
I do. So I do write my reports first, and all of my stuff, whether it be bullet points, press releases, etc. But what I will do, and it's preached over and over again in all the trainings I go to, about, either a third grade level or a fifth grade level, getting it out to the community and to the residents on what they hear and what we say on, live. So I will put it through there to make sure everything is on a level of transparency that they are going to understand. So when I'll put it in there, make sure obviously the grammar stuff is correct and I've done everything, but I'll also check it for a third to fifth grade level reading. So that way I know that it's no jargon and there's no cop talk. Because obviously, being in the police world, sometimes you may put those kind of words in there by accident, just because you've been doing this so long.
Yep, absolutely. Deanna, is there a question I should have asked? And if so, how would you have answered it?
I think the only thing that I would add would be, you kind of touched on it, um, mental health. How do you deal with a job that you do 24/7? All I would, basically, as an answer to that, would be kind of like I said, you got to take time to yourself. If you need help, ask for help, and take your vacation time, and make sure you do have someone that can, take the load off of you, so that you're not doing it on your own.
I like that. Thank you. All right, let's switch this up. Go to some rapid fire questions.
All right.
Talking or texting?
It's 50-50. It depends on who I'm talking to.
Movies or books?
Say that again.
Movies or books?
Movies.
Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
Coffee.
Adult drink of choice?
Mango margarita.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What's your favorite go-to karaoke song?
Don't stop believing.
I like that one. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
If I could read minds.
Yeah. If you can instantly become an expert in one thing, what would it be?
This is an interesting one. Holistic medicine.
Ask permission or beg for forgiveness?
That's another one. It's 50-50. It depends.
What place do you most want to travel to?
Fiji. I love diving.
What's your favorite way to relax after a long day?
Netflix.
Who would you choose to have coffee with? Any historical figure, living or dead?
General Colin Powell.
Okay, that'd be an interesting conversation. All right, Deanna, final thoughts. What key points would you like our listeners to take from today's interview?
You're always learning. It doesn't matter how long you've been in this position. Go to all the trainings you can. Have a mentor, someone that you can talk to, that if you're not sure about something, hey, what do you think about this? Networking. Get out there and know the other PIOs in your community. Know the resources that you have available, and also your media. That was one thing with me coming into the PIO world, was learning that the media, you have to work with them. And if you want the right message to get out, that's the way you do it. And then you build that trust factor with them. So that way, when you need something or you're trying to get something out as well, you can call on them too. So it kind of goes both ways.
Awesome. As we wrap this up, is there a piece of wisdom or a motto that you live by?
I'm going to say it again because I just came back from another training with Mark Brady and Mike Jekyls, and it's the same thing. be brave, be bold, be gone. I always rethink that in my head all the time, whenever I'm doing anything that has to do with, writing a news release or what we're working on. So
Outstanding. How could people best reach you if they want to connect or follow up?
they can reach out to me on Facebook by my name. They can reach out to me by my name on LinkedIn as well. Or if they want to email me, they can reach out to me at DIPAOLA at altamont.org.
And I will add all that in the show notes. Deana, thank you very much for being on the show.
I appreciate it.
All right.